Hi, I'm Jed.
I'm Dania.
And I'm Carly.
The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Maya Angelou.
Welcome to Untitled, JDL Podcast. This is a very exciting and special episode. Today we are hosting our first community guest. Our community guest series is dedicated to meeting and interviewing Jackson community members from all walks of life and industries, people who make a difference in our community, people from outside of the library system that have ideas, interests, and insights different from our own. Our guest today has the illustrious honor of being our first community guest, and we couldn't be more excited to have her. We'll be chatting with Sheryl, the Chief of Operations at the Jackson Interfaith Shelter.
Before we get started, though, let's talk about what is upcoming and new at Jackson District Library this May.
The first book we'd like to feature is called Warrior Girl Unearthed by Angeline Booley. This book is going to be released on May 2nd. Some listeners may remember Angeline Booley from our earlier episodes where we featured her debut novel, Firekeeper's Daughter. This follow-up is set in the same community as that novel, but follows a new group of characters. Black and Anishinaabe high schooler Perry Firekeeper Birch tackles issues surrounding U.S. repatriation laws as well as missing and murdered Indigenous women in this page-turning companion novel taking place 10 years after Firekeeper's Daughter. After dropping off her twin sister Pauline at the Sugar Island Ojibwe tribe's summer internship program, where she'll be working with the tribal council, Perry is ready to begin her summer of slacking off and fishing with Pops. But when her aunt foots the bill for car repairs, Perry is forced to get a job to pay her back. She begins working at a tribal museum when she discovers that a local university has taken advantage of legal loopholes to hold on to the deceased Anishinaabe remains of the warrior girl. Determined to return them to their rightful home, Perry devises a ploy with the other interns, uncovering a deadly mystery involving missing Indigenous women along the way. Conversations surrounding colorism contribute to the character's authentic renderings, and Perry's snarky first-person narration propels this intelligent heist narrative, culminating in a thrilling and empowering read.
So I'm really excited for this follow-up to Firekeeper's Daughter. I actually had the opportunity to meet Angeline Booley one time at a MLA Spring Institute conference. So the Spring Institute is a conference for youth librarianship. And she was there. She was the keynote speaker, and she did a book signing. So I actually have a signed copy of Firekeeper's Daughter, and I'm so excited to see this follow-up come out.
Ooh, maybe you can get this copy signed.
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing?
Next up, we're talking about The Half Moon by Mary Beth Keane. When his boss retires, longtime bartender Malcolm jumps at the chance to buy the Half Moon, but Malcolm quickly learns that turning a profit is harder than he anticipated. Meanwhile, his wife Jess's battle with infertility has her reassessing her life dreams. As Malcolm learns a secret about Jess, a bar patron goes missing and a blizzard strikes. The Half Moon draws you in with a tale of a marriage in crisis from the author of the bestseller Ask Again, Yes. That synopsis is from Rachel at booklistqueen.com, and to quote also a review from Vogue, this book is deft, satisfying. Keane writes in a realist vein the vivid, domesticated world of Anne Tyler, of William Trevor, of Elizabeth Strout, but her insights into matters of the heart, longing and restlessness especially, have astonishing delicacy. The Half Moon is expected to be released May 2nd.
All right, I would like to talk to you about The Ferryman by Justin Cronin. That also comes out on May 2nd. I think that's fabulous. Every single book we picked for this month, they all come out on the 2nd. I thought that was pretty funny. But The Ferryman. In the island utopia called Prospera, everyone lives happy, fulfilled lives, moderated by their assigned social roles and the implants in their arms that monitor their physical health. When a person's health reaches 10% according to their implant, they are retired, sometimes willingly, sometimes not. Proctor's assigned role is the ferryman, transporting those being retired to the neighboring island called Nursery, where bodies are rejuvenated and minds are wiped clean. One day, Proctor is given the order to retire his father, who resists with a cryptic message. Support staff, the physical laborers of Prospera, begin to question the social order, while rumors of a resistance group fly through the community. Proctor finds himself on a quest for truth, and what he finds will change everything. Compared to authors such as Margaret Atwood, Michael Crichton, and Cormac McCarthy, this utopia gone wrong sci-fi thriller has rave reviews, with Goodreads and Amazon reviewers noting how the feelings invoked by the mind-bending intelligence of the novel stays with them long after finishing it. Fast-paced, thrilling, and mysterious, this follow-up to The Passage is called a, quote, riveting standalone novel about a group of survivors on a hidden island utopia where the truth isn't what it seems, end quote.
Some honorable May releases are Fractal Noise by Christopher Paolini, The Making of Another Major Motion Picture Masterpiece by Tom Hanks. Yes, you heard that right. The Tom Hanks. And Someone Else's Bucket List by Amy T. Matthews.
I had heard that Tom Hanks wrote that on a typewriter.
You know, that guy loves his typewriter.
Next, we're going to highlight some audiovisual media coming out in May and landing in a branch near you. I'm going to start us off with the May 2nd release of a movie called 80 for Brady. Rated PG-13, this comedy follows 4 lifelong Tom Brady superfans as they make their way to the Super Bowl, only to find that they cannot afford tickets. Starring Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, Sally Field, Billy Porter, and, of course, Tom Brady himself, shenanigans ensue as the group tries to sneak, act, and force their way into the most important game of their lives.
On May 16th, The Magic Flute is coming out. The Magic Flute is a modern retelling of Mozart's famous opera. This film follows Tim, a struggling musician who finds himself transported to a magical kingdom where he is tasked with rescuing the beautiful princess Pamina from the clutches of an evil sorcerer. With the help of a comedic sidekick and a magic flute, Tim sets out on a perilous journey filled with musical challenges and unexpected twists. Along the way, he discovers the true meaning of love and the power of music to overcome even the darkest of forces. This film stars Jack Wolf, F. Murray Abraham, Jean Gorzald, and others, and is directed by Florian Sigel. It is a fantasy adventure movie and is not rated.
Due to be released on May 23rd is Creed 3, directed and starring Michael B. Jordan. Creed 3 follows Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo Creed, as he continues his boxing career and legacy. Adonis is now a champion looking to settle down with his fiancée Bianca and start a family. However, his life is thrown into chaos when his childhood friend Damien shows up. Damien is a talented fighter trained by Adonis's father, Apollo, and is now looking to challenge Adonis for his title. Adonis is torn between his desire to protect his family and his need to defend his championship. Meanwhile, Bianca is struggling with the pressure of being a champion's wife and the demands of her own career. Adonis must find a way to balance his responsibilities and his passion for boxing, all while facing off against his friend. This title is rated PG-13, and once again, that releases May 23rd. Some honorable mentions are Knock at the Cabin Door, coming out May 9th, Yellowstone Season 5 Part 1, coming out on May 9th as well, and Moving On, coming out on May 16th.
Sadly, we aren't able to touch on every new thing that will be coming to our shelves, so be sure to keep an eye on the new shelves at your branch. But while you wait for those new releases, let's hear some JDL picks from our staff that you can get your hands on right now.
Our staff pick today comes from Lauren, from the team at the Eastern Branch. She says, here's a little rundown of a current favorite of mine, Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. This is a romance and drama graphic novel / webcomic. Lore Olympus is a modern retelling of the myths of the Greek pantheon, majorly focusing on the growing relationship between the deities Hades and Persephone. The comic makes several major deviations from the original myths, most notably in how the gods and their realms are depicted. For example, Olympus and the underworld are shown as modern metropolises, while the realm of mortals is set in the time of ancient Greece. I really like the story combined with the art style. I think that so much of the story can be told through its beautiful and vibrant watercolor style. Each character has their own color and palette to work within, and it is a wonderful part of the storytelling. Beyond that, I think that the characterization of each of the gods really amplifies their roles in the story. The plot, as a rule, fits in theme with many other webcomics by keeping fast-paced and captivating. I find it is easiest to finish these volumes by reading them in one go, so I don't have to worry about cliffhangers. I would suggest this for young adults and up. Heavy themes make it less than perfect for younger audiences. However, the series still manages to be incredibly funny and adorable. Laura Olympus regularly deals with themes of physical and mental abuse, sexual trauma, and toxic relationships. Thank you so much for that staff pick this month, Lauren.
Looking for some material suggestions but want something more specific to you? Head to our website at myjdl.com and select the JDL Picks option under the Explore header at the top of the page. That will take you to a form where you can fill out all the specifics you're looking for. Within a few days, one of our staff members will email you with a list of materials they've selected based on what you asked for.
And you can also ask that they place these as holds on your hold shelf, so it's like a surprise every time you go into your branch.
This is a great way to find new things by crowdsourcing information from your local librarians.
Spring is here. I know many of our listeners are eager to get outside, but while the weather is still uncertain, there are so many things to discover inside at our branches.
On May 4th at 6 p.m., the Young Poets Awards ceremony takes place. We highlighted Poetry Month all throughout April. This month, the community is invited to the 19th Annual Young Poets Awards ceremony to enjoy an evening of poetry as the contest winners from each grade read their poems. This event will take place at 6 p.m. on Thursday, May 4th, at the middle school at Parkside. Visiting Lansing Poet Laureate Masaki Takahashi will present at the award ceremony as well as conduct a poetry workshop for students leading up to the visit.
On May 6th, from 3:30 p.m. to 6 o'clock p.m., the Prom Photo Open House. Looking for a cool place to take prom photos before Jackson High's prom? Stop in from 3:30 to 6 p.m. for light refreshments and a chance to take photos in and around our gorgeous Carnegie Library. Ham it up with a fancy photo backdrop and fun props inside, and then take a short walk through downtown Jackson and hit the Bright Walls murals for more picturesque scenes.
That sounds really cool, actually.
It does.
I'm really into that.
I really love the Bright Walls, and like there's more and more stuff going up all the time, and it's just beautiful what they've done.
On May 8th at 6 p.m. through 7 p.m. is the Vietnam War Experience. Join us at the Summit Branch to hear about the experiences of Vietnam Veterans of America Chapter 109. This interactive presentation will include a display of war artifacts, a flag ceremony, and discussion of military jobs and the culture of the times. This program is intended for teens and adults, and you can call 517-783-4030 to register.
On May 10th, join us at the Henrietta Branch at 4 p.m. to make a Mother's Day card. All ages are welcome, and you can call 517-769-6537 to register.
On May 17th, from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m., we have an after-school science pizza box solar oven program. Join us as we use ordinary materials like pizza boxes and foil to create your own solar oven. Weather permitting, we'll take them outside to try them out. Intended for ages 6 to 12, and you can call the Brooklyn branch at 517-905-1369 to register.
That sounds really cool. I'd love to see how that turns out.
Mm-hmm. On May 20th, from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. is the Succulent Book Planter Program. Looking for a way to recycle old books? Learn how to create a beautiful and unique planter using succulents and old books at the Parma branch.
If you're looking to get outside, JDL has several story walks to explore around the county. Go to myjdl.com/services/storywalks to discover the story walk nearest you. For more information on these and many more events happening in your area, check out our website at www.myjdl.com/events.
Joining us today is Sheryl, the Director of Operations at the Jackson Interfaith Shelter. We're so glad to have you with us today, and thanks for spending time with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I think it's going to be a wonderful experience to get to know you and you to get to know me.
Yeah, we've been really looking forward to this collaboration, so we appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, very much so. I work in adult services over at the Carnegie branch, and there's a lot of overlap, I think, in the work that we're doing over there and the work that you guys are doing at the Interfaith Shelter. I know that we have a lot of overlap in people in the community that we serve. I know we're talking about the Beverly Garges book, Cry of the Lamb, today, but I want to just start by asking you a couple questions about yourself. How long have you been at the Jackson Interfaith Shelter?
I started my 23rd year, January of this year. So
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you
Wow.
very much. Thank you. It's definitely a calling.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, did you do this kind of work previously, like in a different community or in any other organizations? And if so, how's that kind of been different since you've come to
Actually,
this position?
no. I was in retail management for 18 years, so this kind of social work was all new to me. I came to the Interfaith Shelter because I actually was in a place where I was homeless.
Oh.
So in being with there for 23 years, I have the advantage of having lived experience. So I know every person that comes in, I know a little bit about their story because I was in the same place, especially the young mothers that come in. So that's been an advantage for me. Working in retail, it was not as satisfying as a job as what I found this to be. As we talk about homelessness, I will let you know that homelessness is caused by chaos in people's lives, whether it is from outside influences or for your own influences. And once that chaos enters your life, you have to work to get rid of it. And I saw the work that was being done at the shelter, and I really wanted to be a part of it. So I left a very well-paying job to go to a very low-paying job, and part-time at the time also, to come, and I haven't regretted the decision whatsoever.
Well, that's really incredible and very respectable. You know, I identify with that a lot. I also came from retail. And yes, it's, I think what a lot of people don't realize about houselessness is that there's different like stages to it. There's different levels of it. And a lot of people that you might look at and go like, well, that person's not without a home. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are kind of in a transient state because of just something that's happened in their life. You know, like you just lost a big job, or, you know, you lost somebody close to you. These kinds of things can have huge impacts. And so it's nice to have that experience and be able to humanize these people's experiences a lot, I think. A person that is coming to stay at the shelter, what kind of stuff should they expect from their time there? Is there any requirements or things that you'd like them to know?
Well, it's required that they self-certify that they are homeless. That's our number one requirement, and it's really the only requirement that we have. We are a very low barrier. So that means they can be in drug abuse, alcohol abuse, different things like that. They can have some felons, record, and that doesn't stop them from coming into the shelter. The one barrier we do have is because we serve families with children, that we do have to check for CSCs. And if you are actually have a lifetime, you're a registered CSC, we are not allowed to take you because of our clientele. As I said earlier, homelessness happens because of chaos in life, no matter how it happens. So in order to get rid of that chaos and to get out of your life, and we have accountability and we have scheduling where, we set up schedules for you. There's expectations. We want you to be able to get yourself into stability. So we help you get those steps to get there. Not everybody is ready to do those steps, but that's one thing that they should know when they come to us. We have a plan. We have proven ways to help you get to stability, and we want to help you do that, but you have to do your part too.
That's wonderful. The level of planning and intent that you guys bring in, it's not just helping temporarily. It looks like you're really giving them the roots that they need to grow from.
We definitely try to do that, from housing to food stability to simple things like learning the different resources in the community. If you're a young parent, you need diapers. You can't just assume that we're going to give them to you. We send them to the different resources all through the community. Coming to the library is a resource where they can learn many things. They can bring their children. They can learn and help their children grow to love books, maybe a step up from what they had in their own childhood. All kinds of resources that are in the community that can help them.
I love how absolutely non-judgmental it is, and that's reflected in what you've said, but the idea that anybody is welcome, anybody can come and receive the support and help and just a warm meal and some community time. I've seen the new dining room since the renovations. It's absolutely beautiful in there. And the idea to just sit and have a warm meal and spend some time with some other people, and it's so non-judgmental and welcoming. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, we've been able to create a community. We went from, before the renovation, we went from long rectangular tables where you would only be talking to someone right directly across, where we've added community by adding those round tables. So you're looking here, you're looking there, you're meeting new people, and we encourage that. You just sit with someone that you don't know, and learn all about them. So not only do we feed our clients, we also feed the community too. 365 days, 3 meals a day. Anyone that is feeling food insecurity, they can come on in and get a hot meal.
That's amazing.
It really is.
Yeah, we're really blessed that we're able to do that for the community.
You know, you mentioned like the self-improvement aspect of it. We do see a lot of people come through from the shelter that, you know, we offer a lot of services that help people work on their resumes, things like that. And so it's nice to see and to be able to help people that are really trying to you know, pull themselves out of a tough situation.
Yeah.
So
most definitely. And it's nice that we have that partnership where you guys will possibly come into us, but you're also welcome to our clients going to you. If we have all the services just come to us, it makes the client more dependent on just being in here. We don't want this to be the circle. We don't want them to silo in. We want them to go to the library. We want them to go Lifeways. We want them to find maybe a church family or some people out there that they can, when they leave and they have their stability, they already have a little community set up for them. And then they're not so dependent on us.
Yeah, they're growing their safety net through all of these community partners.
Correct.
We love when we see people come through, we get a card in their hand or we help with resumes. And that is one of the most fulfilling things that we do at our job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And while we're on the subject of all the needs not being met by one organization, it seems like a good opportunity to ask you if there's any other resources, yes, for the people that are at the shelter, but also just any other organizations in the community that you'd like to kind of shout out for the work that they're doing and that's benefited.
There is so many. I mean, it's numerous how many people, you guys, of course. We have Lifeways. We have the Area Department of Aging. We have South Michigan Food Bank has food rescue for us, where we get food every week, tons of donations, not only just from the community, but from this food bank. The Food Connection, where we get Starbucks, we get Pizza Hut, where they're reusing the items, sending them us rather than throwing them away when they're a day old there. So that has been just wonderful for us, especially since how many meals we serve. We work real well with the school districts to make sure our kids are educated and they're all in school. We are part of the continuum of care through the city of Jackson, which is probably about 50 different agencies that work on different parts of homelessness. We meet once a month. Community Action Agency is huge, a huge partnership with us. Like I said, MDHHS, United Way. There's just so many people that we work with, and I can't even give everybody the justice that they deserve and the kudos they deserve in just this small question. So I apologize not, but everybody that we work with, the community as a whole, you know, they say it takes a village to raise a child. It's taking this town to really raise and help our homelessness, because most of our money comes from the actual donations of our community, and people that have left the community live elsewhere but still support us. If it wasn't for the community, we would really struggle. So I would just like to thank everyone out there that thinks of us.
Yeah, that's really incredible. And I know for me, I'm a relatively recent transplant to Jackson, and it's been incredible to be a part of a community that cares so much and does so much great work, and that there are so many organizations.
For any of our listeners who might be thinking about participating or helping out the shelter as an individual, family, work, or church group, do you have any ideas or recommendations for how other individual community members can become involved?
I definitely do. You simply get on our website, www.interfaithshelter.com. There are many buttons. I don't know how you would talk that in computer speak, but there's click on volunteers, and there is a numerous 6-7 different areas where you can click on wherever your interest is and sign right up. If you have something else in mind, you want to do something that's a little more elaborate than what we have signed up, you simply call our community engagement, Rick Morgan, and he will go through the idea with you and make sure your group gets signed up for anything you'd like to do to help us out.
That's fantastic. So wasn't the outside area put together, but wasn't it a Boy Scout group, or am I misunderstanding?
Are you talking about the playground that is in the back? That is a small rooted group out of Spring Arbor.
Okay.
Where when during the pandemic, we had, pandemic shut a lot of things down. We had a small rooted group that came in and looked at our child's playground, and all we had was like a swing set in there. It wasn't really elaborate at all. And they came through, and they decided to set up a funding for it within, I believe it was 10 days. They raised grand.
Oh my gosh.
And one of the designer of it, and she's going to kill me if she's listening to this because I cannot think of her design studio. It's Anna, I can tell you that. She donated her time and designed it all, and it's beautiful. It's a welcoming area for our kids to go, but also their parents to be with them and engage with them and play. We have a little mini rock climbing area back there. We have a house. We have all kinds of things back there for the kids to play in if they want to be outside and enjoying the outdoors with their family.
What
That's
a great
amazing.
partnership. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to kind of bring the book into this conversation a little bit. So we were talking about Cry of the Lamb by Beverly Garges, who was the founder of the Jackson Interfaith Shelter. Do you want to just give like a quick synopsis of what this book is before we...
Sure. This was written by Beverly, and it's actually the story of what she found in the community of Jackson, what she saw the problem was, and how she went about. She's a devout Catholic, and how she went about and tried to make a change, which she definitely did. I don't want to go through the story, don't want to give away all the fun things, but there's different things in here that I'd just like to touch on that, they made their first payment in the little storefront that was on East Michigan, right across from the train station. That's where it first originated from. And they made their first rent payment in 1975. So as of now, we've been alive and founded 48 years ago. That's huge. That's a big deal. A lot of names she writes in here about the people that it helped in that. And this, of course, was 48 years ago. I know some of these people. I've worked with some of these people. I still see them. They still come in. We are all a great deal older, but they still have that same mission and that faith and that love in what we're doing. And I find that simply amazing. I talked earlier about the Community Action Agency and how they work with us. The third month that the original shelter started, Community Action came in and started helping them with food. So they had their first meal 3 months after they opened on Easter Sunday. And it explains in the book what they had. And so our 50th year is going to be in 2025, and we are going to serve the same meal on that Easter Sunday that is in the book, just to bring that whole back and bring it around circle.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really neat. One of the titles of one of the chapters of the book is "I Hugged a Murderer Today." And that is quite eye-opening. And with our being a low-barrier shelter, there could be a past murderer. There could be a past rapist in there. And we would treat them just the same, just like God would. Hug them, support them, love them, and try to help them the best we can. So even back then, that was a thing. After 3 years, they got the new home, which is where we are currently located. It was quite a bit smaller than it is now. The back area, when you come in, the back area that is the resource room and the whole women and family dorm was not there when they first started. These are additions that have been put on. So they've worked really hard. And the fact that she went looking for this building with only 72 cents in the account, and she just had faith that it was somehow going to happen, that's amazing to me. Just other things, talking about newsletters, and they get lots of letters, good, bad, funny anecdotes, and I just happen to have one of the actual, not the original copy, but a copy of it, of her first newsletter that she sent out. And what struck me about this is that the questions that we are asked now by the community concerned about different things, about do you feed everybody, what about drinking, drugs, those same issues were addressed 48 years ago, and our answers are all the same. We don't judge on your sobriety or non-sobriety. However it is, we'll work with you and we'll love you and we'll try to get you in housing, because it's a proven fact that if we can get them in a house and their house and they have someplace to go, they have then the opportunity where they want to work towards those other things because they have a place to go back to. You try to do it the other way, send them to rehab first, send them to this, and then they go to a shelter because they don't have a home yet, that they have a higher chance of going back into that non-sobriety than if they had a very stable place to go. So that's just things that have struck me from the book. Lots of pictures. It's a very, very easy read. We have a young employee that's in our thing. She's 20 years old, hates to read. She read it in 4 hours and loved it. So it's a very easy read. I'm really interested in hoping that the community takes advantage of the fact that we have 2 copies now at the library, or you do, and that they will come check it out and read it and find out a little bit about us.
I really hope people take the opportunity to check it out because it's neat. We usually talk about books. Sometimes it's a Michigan author, but generally speaking, it's pretty far removed from us. But to read something that is so deeply connected to our community, I can see why they sat down and read it in one setting.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I had worked there 2 years before I even knew about it. But who wouldn't want, some people are like, why, when I told them I was doing this podcast and what book I picked, and they said, well, why would you pick that? Well, why wouldn't I pick that? I mean, besides like Microsoft or a big company that you will have a book about, how many little towns do you work for a company that has a book about its founding? It's pretty exciting.
I agree with that. And I was also very struck as I was reading it by just the stories are really incredible. There's a lot of people with a lot of very different struggles and experiences. And I was very touched by the compassion and that lack of judgment that she really showed throughout the book. Are you okay if I read a brief quote that really struck me? Mm-hmm. It's early on in the book. It's from page 9 in a chapter called The Name of the Game. And she wrote, one of the phrases I heard over and over is, the name of the game is dollars. I have to agree that dollars are important when one is faced with as many as 38 growling tummies twice a day. But I learned that some people were anxious to help in ways that would provide the things I would otherwise need dollars to purchase. I decided to proceed on the premise that the name of the game is love. And that was really powerful when I read that.
Oh, yeah. I would have to agree with her. That love is, if showing love, it can move mountains.
Mm-hmm. That and the core values that kind of outlined in that newsletter, that first newsletter that you kind of briefly went over, in addition to the love, just goes to show those core values. That's why your organization has lasted as long as it has, is because the community inhibits those values. And so even here we are 50 years later, and you said, same questions coming up, the same amount of love, the same amount of outpouring and help, it's still there. Yeah. That's great.
Oh, we're very blessed. Blessed.
I think the community can see that the work that is being done in and by the shelter is that actual solid foundation of doing good for the individual, doing good for the family, doing good for the community, starting with that love. I think the community sees the honesty behind that, and so is more willing to participate and volunteer and donate time and money and material, because when you can see that it's an actual effective, functioning, honest institution, you're more willing to trust giving your own resources to that as well.
And I think people can tell that love is really genuine because it's non-judgmental love, like true love. And I think that speaks volumes about what you guys are able to bring to the community and how people view you, like Harley was saying, how people perceive what you offer.
Yeah, I would have to agree. We have a lot of positivity in our shelter. We have built a really strong team. We are constantly striving to learn and grow and become better. We speak to our clients very often about what their needs are and what we could do for them. If you are in the social services, any kind of services, and if you don't talk to the people that you're actually serving, it's kind of futile because you don't know actually what they need and how we can actually help them move forward.
Well, in your perspective, too, having previously been unhoused, you can relate to these people on such a deep level, something that you couldn't get from just training. That level of empathy runs through, and it speaks to why you've been the organization for 23 years.
Oh, well, thank you. We do have people that have been there longer. Mm-hmm. My husband actually was the cook there for 31 years, and he retired a year ago, February. So, but we do have, besides myself, I do have some staff members that are also have lived experience, whether it was here at our shelter or in another town or that. And again, I do think that it does make us more empathetic. Mm-hmm. It does it makes us more relatable. As soon as they find out that I've been there, their attitude will really change, and they really will want to, it makes them realize there is hope. And if you come into our auditorium, and I know you were just there, the first thing that should strike you is the big lettering on our wall that says choose hope. And many times when you are in a houseless or homeless situation, Hope is the farthest thing that you can even think about getting. But just to know that when you come in there, those words are predominant. Like, you can be hopeful. We will be able to help you with whatever it is. So,
For people who are maybe struggling to reach out for the help, what is a message, or what would you like to tell them?
don't be afraid to come out. Do not think that it is beneath you. Do not feel proud. Do what you need to do to help yourself and especially help your family. There is a misconception for families with children that if they come to the shelter, CPS will will be on their case. They might lose their kids in that. And in fact, CPS places families with us because they know they're going to be safe and secure and help them find a place. So we are a safe place. We will do everything we can to help people as long as they're willing to help themselves.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
So you've talked a lot about how much has sort of stayed the same as the Jackson Interfaith Shelter has evolved. In what ways would you say things have changed since the beginning?
Well, besides the building itself, it's gone through dramatic changes, but just the way the world has changed. The concept of families present very differently now. It's not just a mom and dad with kids. It could be a dad and a mom, or a boyfriend and a mom, or just a single mom, lots of single dads, and we have totally adapted that because we want to make sure to keep the family unit together so as not to cause trauma to the children by being separated from one of their parental units. So we make arrangements the best we can to take care of everyone that walks in our door and make sure, and that's a change that has evolved because the world has changed. The cost of doing things is so much different. The technology that we are now using is so much different, so that's all changed the way we do things. Cameras have changed the world, so you can see things. Technology has changed everything. There's a numerous amount of different things. But what, like you had said, that what hasn't changed is the care of the people that are supporting of us.
I know marginalized communities can already have some distrust built in throughout life experiences, so it's great that you reiterated that it is non-judgmental at all. You're just there to help out and support you regardless.
Irregardless, we are getting more. I don't want to say popular, but they're more open. The transgender, the LBGT are more comfortable coming to this because we do support. What you identify as, we do our best to be able to support you, put you where you feel you need to be. And that is a big change that we have gone through. And we're very proud of that because that's the way it should be.
Agreed. Yep. Great.
So we've already talked about how there's a lot of overlap in the work that we do at JDL and what you guys do. What would you say are the services that JDL provides that are of the most use to the people that you serve? And as a sort of alternative to that question, if you could sort of wave a magic wand, what other stuff would you like to see from the library that we don't do already?
Okay. As you've talked about how open we are and how non-judgmental. You guys are the epitome of non-judgmental. You let these people in no matter what state they're in, people that live on the street, people that live on the shelter, and you are there to help them, and you do your best to accommodate them and their needs. So that, I'd say, is the biggest impact to us, that you allow a homeless person to come in and sit in your library and talk to them, and you treat them just like you would your patrons that come in wearing diamonds and smelling like roses. So that is the biggest impact that you have made on us, and I think you make a big impact on downtown by that, because they know that you guys are a safe haven, that unless their behavior is way over the top, that they are safe with you. They can come and get warm, or be cool depending on the season, and that they can have some intelligent or non-intelligent conversations. I've had people that have come in from spending a couple hours at the library telling me about how they talked to, and they'll give a name, and that they joked with me. They made me feel good about myself. They made suggestions to me. They told me about some classes I could take. So that's invaluable to that. So that's a huge impact that you guys are making on us. If I could do a magic wand, I would say that the libraries across the country, not only ours, should get any amount of money that they need to help improve people's lives. And this is just a small way, but libraries are invaluable. And the fact that we have to fight for so much money, we have to fight for that for you guys, is ridiculous. So my magic wand would give you just all kinds of funds to do all kinds of things like that and make people's lives better than you already do.
It's great.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate those kind words. And I just as kind of an aside to that, I do want to point out that recently one of our adult services people sort of renovated a packet that's sort of specifically designed to highlight all the things that might be most useful to patrons who are experiencing houselessness. So if anybody out there fits that description, it's an easy, obviously non-judgmental way for you to just come up, take a packet, and it sort of just outlines all the stuff that might be helpful, local organizations, things that the library does. So yeah, we're always trying to do more and make sure that we have as much of that to help these people as possible.
And that's great if that's something that you would be able to share with us. So if they're too tentative to be able to come ask you, but we might have that to give to them, we would use that resource well.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm pretty sure the plan was to get you some. I didn't bring any today, but I'll be happy to get you some soon.
Yeah, come visit us anytime.
Perfect. That's a great way to strengthen this collaboration.
Exactly.
So to kind of wind down a little bit, we've been talking about Cry of the Lamb. Are there any other, what types of books, media, movies, et cetera, do you enjoy outside of this in your free time? Any genres that you're particularly attracted to? Or?
I love mysteries. I love a good whodunit.
They're so good.
I'm not even going to lie. I just love the suspense of it. Now, I won't go so far as say Stephen King, because even in a book form, he scares me to death. But I'm a great John Grisham. You know, the ones you hear, Patricia Cornwell. I can sit down with those books and have a very good time with those. That takes me totally out of myself and just puts me in that world, and I enjoy that.
Those are perfect page turners. You can't put them down.
Yes.
Have you read any of the Louise Penny series? No. She writes the Three Pines series. That it's in a teeny weeny little one stoplight town up in Canada, and it's Inspector Armand Gamache, who works for the Sûreté, which is like the Quebec police department. And the 18th book in the series just came out this last year.
18th, that's awesome.
I'm on book 4. It's phenomenal.
So you are going to email me that information, I'm assuming.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
I love it because it's a mystery, and sometimes it feels like a cozy mystery, sometimes it feels like a thriller mystery, but Armand Gamache is just like, I feel like he smells like pipe smoke and cologne. Like, he's so wholesome and kind as an inspector and as
like
a detective.
A modern Hercule Poirot?
Exactly.
Oh, Agatha Christie, my mother used to absorb those books.
Just
so
great
good.
reads, great quick reads.
Yes. Yep. M is for murder, yes.
Ooh, great one.
Well, interestingly enough, my display for April in the reference room at Carnegie is for Librarian Day, National Librarian Day on the 16th, is books that our librarians love, and one of those Inspector Gamache books is actually on that display right now. So if you're interested in checking it out,
Perfect.
you can head right over there and find it.
Nice.
Well, Sheryl, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I think this was a really great conversation. Thank you for taking the time to come on in. This was great.
Yes,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed meeting you guys. I'm not going to lie. I was very nervous coming in. Podcast over at the shelter is a camera, as you know, and I was so happy that there was no camera in here. It's just my voice. That's great.
Well, thank you
very
for
much.
being brave enough to come on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Thanks for listening. Feel free to email us at podcast@myjdl.com with any thoughts you have about our reading from today, any materials you think we should touch on in future episodes, or any questions you may have about library materials, events, or services. Any views or opinions expressed by the hosts or their guests are solely their own and do not reflect the opinions of the Jackson District Library as a whole. This podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only.